Hi, and welcome to Open Chest with me, GIRN, where I have intimate and provocative conversations with some of today's most prolific pop culture icons, rebels with a cause, and everyday people like you and me. Travel with me to the City of Angels and take your front row seat for intelligent, provocative, relevant insights into the minds of innovators in fashion and beauty, film and television, music and media, and so much more. Are you ready? Let's talk about the film Sold. There's so many questions I have, but what I want to ask you, and the fundamental one, because you're sitting here with me chatting about this, is why did you get involved?
I had the fine fortune of meeting Jeffrey Brown, the director, a number of years ago at a film festival here in LA, the Indian Film Festival of LA.
Yeah.
And he had this little bag, this little satchel, and he's walking towards me. And I work with the festival a lot in the music, side of things. And I was standing in this kind of area, and he kind of starts walking up to me, and I had no idea who Jeffrey was. And Jeffrey walks up to me, and he says, "Are you Sammy?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Sammy." He says, "I've been wanting to meet you." And I said, "Really?" And he pulls out one of my CDs. It's like an instrumental CD called Tale of a Crown. And he pulls it out and he says, "Sammy, I wrote this script to your CD."
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Right? Crazy. So I was like, that's very interesting. And how do you palate that, right? As a musician, you're like mind blown that this person has come up to you and said, "You know what, I've just created this film by listening to your record while I've been doing it." That's how he came up to me. And so when he told me this, I was just like, "Sir, whatever you need from me, you let me know." You have, beyond, been very gracious enough to compliment me that way. It was very nice of him. And so I started actually learning about the cause through him. And Jeffrey was really like a teacher to me throughout the whole process. So I got to learn about the fight against human trafficking, what we as a community really need to do to kind of stop it.
Absolutely.
And for me, this really became a passion project, really, because of the cause. It was bigger than me, the film, or anything. So I was just like, "Man, Jeffrey, whatever you need from me, sir, I'll be there for you."
So tell me how you've been there for the film.
Well, I was the music supervisor on the project.
Absolutely.
And I composed a lot of the film with John McDowell.
Yes.
And but we've really been involved beyond that, and just helping with Jeffrey and Jane, the producer, Jane Charles, in kind of setting up the India shoot and everything in Calcutta and helping with that type of stuff. But even more
so you
important,
got involved in all that side of things.
we did, we really did, because I got to know Jeffrey at a really early stage in the film before they even shot it and everything. So we got to talk a lot about it, and it was really amazing because whatever he would tell me he was going to go do, he actually came back from India, materialized. I was like, "Oh my goodness, amazing!"
Yeah, it's
and
incredible.
that's very hard to do in India. So
yes,
and especially for a couple of guys that are from the West Coast heading out there and assembling a crew and everything in India and kind of making it happen. It was quite a remarkable feat. But I was merely just another soundboard that Jeffrey had. Jeffrey had a great, tight team of people working on this project with him.
Absolutely.
And but it morphed into a wonderful project that I think is going to really make a difference out there.
So the soundtrack for Sold, am I correct?
Yes.
That it's actually being released through your company?
Yes, through Rukus Avenue. It's got great music on there, John McDowell stuff.
Yes, tell me. Get me excited. Let's get the viewers excited about this.
No.
Tell us who's on it. Tell us what kind of genres of music are on it. And tell us how we can get it. Those are the three things I want to know.
All right, so the genres of music are on there are, they really widely range from classical Indian type stuff to, some really edgy hip hop stuff I did on this project as well.
Ooh.
So I have a track with Capadon on this project. I also have a track with Michael Franti on this project.
Wow.
And so there's some cool music songs that are on there as well. But other stuff that's on here, Salim and Suleiman have a song called Namaste on there. John McDowell did a bunch of music on the project. Dajdar Junaid plays some music. I mean, it's just, and we've got this David Starfire, Medieval Pundits. I mean, it's just like a stacked soundtrack of like just really, really great music, and I can't wait for people to hear it. It's available on iTunes and all the obvious outlets. So definitely go support it if you can.
Oh gosh, done. So just as diverse and eclectic as the musical genres are for the music, and just the participants, the talent that's involved in it, so is the cast.
Yes.
I feel like swearing almost. I'm just trying to control myself because I'm so passionate about this. But what the F
Amazing.
Like, how did they get, like...
It's amazing.
I mean, everyone from, like, Gillian Anderson to Seema Biswas and
Yeah.
everyone in between.
Yeah.
It's, like, insane.
Yeah. And Sushmita Mukherjee, who did a phenomenal job as the madam.
Yes.
And she was, like, really the most haunting, like, role in there where you just watch her, you're like, oh, my God, I'd hate to be bossed around by her. She was just so amazing.
Wow.
And of course, you know, you mentioned them, David Arquette, Gillian Anderson.
Of course.
So many great actors that were involved in this project. And but I really feel like they've all been almost like, you know, activists.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
They're sure they've been
Yes.
involved in kind of putting on the story for everyone to hear and see. But they've really been activists. They've gone out there, they learned about the actual conditions of folks that were living in these, you know, horrible conditions in Indian brothels and stuff like that. They went out there and studied. And then they went back and replicated it so well. It's quite amazing.
Sammy, tell me how people can actually get involved in the advocacy message of the film.
Well, there's so many different ways, right? You can get involved locally, internationally. There's so many different organizations around the world that are involved in stopping human trafficking. A great place to start is really soldthemovie.com.
Yes.
You get to know a lot about what different organizations are partnering with the film. Different organizations are actually involved in specific aspects, from not just dealing with the actual condition, but also things like, what do people do when they are, you know, saved from this condition? If you've been working as a sex slave for so many years, what do you do when you've been saved? How do you make a living? What stops you from going back?
Right.
And
just the psychosis associated with that.
Yeah, and
right?
so there's some organizations like New Light, which is in India, run by a very lovely lady named Urmi Basu, who is based in Calcutta.
Yeah.
And she's been very active in helping people move, you know, not only out of their condition of being sex slaves or in various slavery kind of positions, but just moving forward and picking up a trait so they can go out and live, and they can actually make a living of their own. They can support their families. They can stop their children from following into maybe some of the same pitfalls that they did.
Absolutely.
So, you know, those are some of the things that you can really do.
So the purpose of this film,
yeah.
Is it to raise money? Is it to raise awareness? Is it to get you know, political support? What's the purpose of it?
All of those things, Raj.
Okay.
Because, you know, well, let me start by saying this. This film gives you a look into the condition. You know, when you and I were to go talk about this condition in terms of what happens to folks that are, you know, human trafficked, what goes on in their life, what happens to them. This film gives you an opportunity to really get to see that. It gives you a place for you to talk from. Gives you a sense of kind of a reference to what's going on with the condition of all these folks. Let's start with that.
Right.
And then the second thing is that you can then take this film and really start to kind of look at different aspects of it. All right, so how is it that, you know, in this story, Lakshmi, she moves from Nepal into India. Well, how is she able to do that? You know, this film has actually made some really big strides in Nepal. Okay. Now, when you cross the border as a child, as a minor, you have to have a person of your family doing that for you or with you. You can't just go with an aunt or an uncle or a friend or whatever.
It.
This film
That's
did
good.
that. You know?
Oh, wow.
Right. So after it was screened in Nepal, some of the different officials there, the different government officials, politicians, all rallied around, and within a week this was done.
Wow.
Unbelievable, right? And so these are the different changes that I think could happen. It
Yes.
gives people like a way to look at this and say, wow, this is what's happening? Well, we can't let that happen. And there's so many different aspects of it that happen in the film where you're like, well, that can happen, and that can't happen, and that can't happen. So these are all things that we all need to kind of go out there and kind of make a change on.
Tell me what the film is about. It's an obvious question, but
Yeah.
it really isn't obvious, because there's a ton of different advocacy that's happening out there for human trafficking around the world for many different purposes,
Yeah.
and the story is being told in many different ways. How does Soul tell the story that gives it a point of difference?
Well, it's first of all, it's a feature film. It's not a documentary, and so there is a little bit of like a Hollywood kind of an aspect to it, right? So it's kind of got like this Shawshank Redemption kind of quality to the film.
Got it.
Where, you know, you are, and this is something Jeffrey really consciously did. He wanted to make this very positive, so you're not just kind of bombarded with these very difficult kind of visuals and scenarios.
And just the heaviness of it,
Yeah, the heaviness
right?
of it. It wouldn't give you any kind of incentive to go out there and do something about it. So Jeffrey kept it very hopeful, which was amazing.
Yes.
So what I would say is that, you know, as people see the film and as people digest it and as they kind of go out there and see what it's about, it basically comes down to this. There's a girl, she's 9 years old. She is trafficked from Nepal unwittingly. Her family is kind of told that she's going to go, live in or work in like a home as like as a maid or something, or a housekeeper. And unwittingly, she shows up at a brothel, and she's then forced into slavery in terms of being a sex slave, and she's servicing up to like 10 or 15 people a day. And you see scenes like that are depicted in the actual film itself, but it's done very tastefully. They used a body double for the young actress so she can kind of, not be really a victim of that, and so these are all kind of things that they did a good job considering. And then what happens is she's in Calcutta, in this condition of being as a sex slave in a brothel, and there are different things that she does to try and get out of there. And so that's what the film is about. I won't tell you the story, but
no, because people
it's
have
really
to
about
go
human
and watch
trafficking
it.
and specific to sex slavery.
So I want to ask you, those people that aren't fortunate enough to actually get to a theatre in time to watch it on the circuit, where can they get their hands on this after that? Are there any plans for putting it out on DVD or on demand or anything like that?
Yes, there are, definitely. But go to soldthemovie.com.
Yes.
And what we've been seeing is people have been setting up screenings for this, and really kind of being proactive about it, saying, you know what, even though it's playing in this city, I want to organize something for my friends. I have like, a number of friends that really could kind of gather around this cause and go do something. And so I think those are the type of things that we're seeing as people are like setting up their own screenings or kind of being proactive by themselves. So go to Sold the Movie. It will be available on video on demand, but I think there's something really special about setting up a screening and really talking about it with a group of people.
Okay, so soldthemovie.com is where people can click on what in order to ask to do something like that.
Absolutely. You can see the screenings. You can request a screening.
Great.
You can see where the film is playing right now. You can get to know a little bit more about the cast and crew. You can see some of the different NGOs that are partnering with the film.
Great.
Lots of different information there.
Is there a donation component to the site at all? Or are there organizations that you guys recommend that people should... Okay, got it. And what are they? What are the organizations?
Well, there's United Way's involved in this film. There's so many different organizations involved in the U.S. There's so many different organizations like New Light in India. You can see it all on soldthemovie.com.
Got it. Sweetheart, what a pleasure.
So nice to see you again.
Absolutely. It was lovely to see you after all those years.
Yes.
The dark ages has brought us into the light.
And here we are, right? It's so great to see everything going on right now. It really is.
Absolutely.
It's really great.
I can't wait till the next time we sit down and chat. Your next project, hit me up. Let's do this.
You got it, Raj. Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, this is Open Chess TV with me, Raj GIRN. If you like the chat that you just finished watching, I really hope that you will subscribe to my channel for more intelligent, provocative, relevant conversations with some of your favorite celebrities.